Hey, that wasn't. Oh, that was terrible.
Well, you got to teach me how to do a roll. You still haven't taught me how to play drums yet.
Is that my responsibility?
Yeah.
I could barely teach our band how to play anything, let alone you teach drums. Oh, that's way easier, I suspect.
Yeah, I mean, it's way easier than pipes.
By the way, we're recording, right?
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Josh. Welcome to the Chan Rain Podcast. With me, as always, as my bearded co-host, Mr. Andy Fuco.
That's me.
And if you didn't know, I'm here to let you know that it's a Loco show.
Uh-oh. Watch out. Jesus Christ, man. That mic's loud. It's a local show, everybody. That means...
Loco edition.
We're drinking Four Lokos, apparently.
And so I'll give you 5 seconds because it's also explicit to listen to something else. That's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Fuck, mate.
Fuck, mate.
Fuck, mate.
Listeners can review the show on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, etc. Wherever you listen to podcasts, you can send us emails and voicemails to be played on air. Like us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or if you're Australian, Snapchat. And check out the Chanarant store at chanarant.com. It's a website. So, and there's shirts there, and sweaters, and hoodies, and ladies' underpants, and dildos, the exact shape of Fusco's crooked little wang. Last but not least, if you want to support the show, the best way to do so is to become a patron at patreon.com/Chanarant. For $5 a month, you can tune into this live stream and invite and share with your friends.
Whew, that was a lot, man. How do you not get tongue-tied in doing all that?
I got to do it every week, man. I can do it from memory now.
Josh.
Yes, Fusco.
You know what really pours a goddamn Four Loko into my beautiful Irish whiskey?
What's that?
When you go to the Circle K to pick up a drink and the only Locos they have is that goddamn blue raspberry nonsense.
The sour blue raz?
Listen, I wanted to get
I didn't even know this existed.
I wanted to get something classy like the watermelon flavored one for our special guest. But no, they had this blue raspberry nonsense. So I guess so much for classy.
Speaking of our special guest, Fusco, would you like to introduce the wonderful gentleman we have on the line for this episode of the show?
All right, so our guest this week, who we'll ignore and talk over many a time, is a legend in the Australian piping scene and probably the world, I would say. Mr. Murray Blair, all the way from Melbourne, Australia.
Melbourne.
Something like that, I don't know. Mr. Blair, how are you doing today?
I'm well. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thanks for being here. You're probably, well, no. I would say you're probably the classiest guest we've ever had, other than, well, the dominatrix we had that one time. She was pretty classy.
I feel well. Thanks very much. I feel honoured, a little bit concerned, but I feel honoured. Thanks again.
You should be concerned. I don't.
It's a healthy fear.
Yeah. You don't know what you're getting into, and we shall see how this all goes. But thanks for coming. We appreciate it. And Josh, I don't know where we're at here.
We're right into it.
Okay.
So Murray, for those of us who are a bunch of grade 4 players in America who may not know your pedigree, do you want to give us like a short bio on yourself? Like tell the wonderful people about what you do.
Okay, sure. I'm a piper from Australia. I was taught pipes by my father, whose father immigrated from Scotland out to Australia in the 1930s. I grew up in a country town, taught in a local band called the Warrnambool Pipe Band. From there, around about 17 or 18, I moved to Melbourne and I was asked to join the Victoria Police pipe band. So
the legendary Victoria Police.
I played with the Victoria Police all through the 90s, and that sort of was a great experience and a great platform for writing music, getting to compete overseas, learning much more about piping, and then off to Scotland. So from there, the band was, as I said, a great platform for writing music. I wrote a lot of music for the band. I was involved and I studied audio engineering, and that was my formal background. And then got involved in recording bagpipes. When the Victoria Police finished up, I moved to Scotland, lived in Scotland for just on 5 years, learnt a lot more about piping, the intricacies of recording, and worked for the BBC. And it's just led into a wide range of things, getting to know people around the world, record pipes, produce pipes in studios and concerts, and also, take the pipe music out into a wider audience as well. Being an audio engineer, it's just not all about piping, working television and other music production and on the technology side of it as well. So in a nutshell, that's it. And that's where I am now.
Okay. that's all really interesting. But one thing we definitely always tend to hit up when we talk to Australians on the show is your grandfather came to Australia in the 30s. You said, was he a criminal?
Yeah. No, my family were free settlers. So what that means, they had a choice. Had a choice.
Well,
he was actually in the British Navy, and he was ill and ended up in Australia.
So they sent criminals and the ill people.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, I'm okay. In the area that I live in Australia, there weren't that many people sent without a choice. So I'm in Melbourne, which is down the south.
Down south, okay.
Yeah, because like we in the States, we send all of our criminals to Florida.
Right.
Right.
Which is down south.
Okay.
Because then,
then they
eventually it'll just be overtaken by water.
And then they open a tiger farm and become famous.
No, that's Oklahoma.
I thought they were in Florida. Right. I don't know where they are.
Well, if you know Australian geography, up the north of Australia, there's lots of things like crocodiles and snakes and lots of spiders. Actually, there's snakes and spiders everywhere, but the really, really dangerous ones are more in the north, particularly crocodiles and buffaloes and all sorts of things that... good luck to yourself if you go up there.
I think that's where Honey Bourbon's from, is up north.
Is Boo Boo from up north?
That's where his accent is from. I have no idea. He's a real hillbilly, we know. He plays with, what's that band he plays with? Hawthorne. Where are they based out of? I forget.
Well, they're actually based in Melbourne, where I am.
Oh, that's right. He lives in Melbourne.
So Melbourne's got about 4 million people. There's a lot of bands in this area. Not as many as there used to be, but they're around here too.
So one thing in your bio that you didn't mention is that you were and maybe still are, and we'll get to the bottom of that, I suppose, in a second here, but you were a prolific tune writer for a long time. Right? Yeah,
through the 90s, in the Victoria Police, we never set out to write tunes or whatever, but it was just a motivating time. So there was a number of us in the band who wrote tunes, Mark Saul, myself, Ian Lyons, and other guest pipers like Brian Lemon. So we had great opportunities in having a platform to deliver that music, being the Victoria Police. I mean, it's ideal. You've got a good sounding band and they can deliver the music with a drum corps to back it, and you could work closely with the drum corps in working on ensemble pieces and highlighting certain bars in the music to emphasise. Out of that, the band picked up, and it's a pretty brutal process, taking a tune to a band and getting 17 or 18 other people to give you an opinion of if they like the tune or not. You got to sort of have some hard skin at times, and I guess myself and Mark Saul were able to deliver a lot of the music in the band, and from that, we got book deals, publishing deals, and then the tunes were recorded. And I think one of the biggest highlights in that process was, you go to the World Pipe Band Championships, and a year after you've played there and you've played new tunes, so you look in the program and other bands may have picked up that tune and decided to play that as well, and you get a real buzz out of that. That's really cool. So, able to write a lot of tunes. A lot of tunes fell underneath the table too because they didn't really pass the sniff test from some of the other guys in the band, but
didn't pass muster.
They might have been having a bad day, or maybe I was just delusional with the thought of some of the tunes. But it was a great opportunity. Yeah.
You mentioned book deals and production deals and all that. So does that mean you're rich now?
What was that? Sorry.
I said you mentioned book deals and production deals when all this happened, and does that mean you're rich now?
Oh no! We signed up these deals when we were very young, without any reading, any fine print.
Oh, that's right. And you're also a piper, so you must be broke.
Yeah. Name
the books. I mean, books
name the richest piper you know.
Exactly. I mean, books are popular, but I don't think. Well, I can't speak for anyone else, but it's not really a thing to think I'm going to buy a house by putting out a book. It's actually sharing your music and getting other people to play, and you do get some money, but it depends on the deal. I mean, it's like the music industry. You really got to read the fine print, and at a younger age, maybe you don't read that fine print so well.
Right, you're just excited to be somebody who's paying attention to you, so you're like, fuck it, I'll just do it.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that kind of segues. So, you have a actually fairly decent career as an audio engineer, and you've produced a lot of the CDs that came out of Victoria Police.
He's
right?
produced so many of them, like major like pipe band CDs and even soloists that you like. I had no idea until I looked into like his background. I'm like, oh shit, he did a lot of shit.
So I'm very interested because as an audio nerd, what are some of the differences you found with trying to record pipe music, trying to match that to non-pipe instruments, more concert-focused instruments? Like how do you what's the secret sauce that kind of makes that work?
Well, I think audio guys and girls who are pipers hear frequencies a little bit differently. If you go in a general studio, most audio engineers will get rid of the frequencies in the EQ that pipers like. So I think that's our advantage of being pipers, that we leave those frequencies in there. The thing I've noticed since I started recording is the pitch gone higher definitely has affected audio gear. I mean, digital equipment have got some great preamps and things like that, but at that high pitch that the pipes at, all the digital equipment can tend to sound quite raspy. So maybe 15 years ago, we were getting better recordings because the equipment didn't have to work so hard, where now is you really have to adapt and try and put some depth into your recordings. The secret sauce to me is trying to record everything as live as possible without any coloration of the sound. So if we're in an echoey room, well, let's not try and record all the echoes, but be true to the actual sound of the pipe without getting in there and changing it too much.
Yeah, I mean, some of the bands, I remember when we were at the Worlds, 2 years ago now? Almost 3 years ago now. And it was like, I mean, some of these bands were like, 490, 496? Like, it was, 790, 796. It was insane.
Yeah.
The dogs were barking, like glass was breaking.
Yeah. You take that example into like the Glasgow Concert Hall, where it's generally quite warm in that hall, even though there's air conditioning on the stage. But the bands are getting so big, so many musicians on stage, tenor drums, 9 or 10 tenor drums, big drum corps, then put in extra musicians, guitarists, fiddle players, keyboard players, and they've got to get up to that 489, 490. So it's a tough challenge for them on the night to pull it all together.
Have you ever been the engineer or the producer for any of those yearly concerts they do there?
Yeah, I think I've done nearly 15 of them.
Oh my god!
Oh wow!
Yeah, so
do they still? They don't really produce the CD anymore, though, right? Do they or do the individual bands produce their own CDs for those now?
Well, individual bands more so, and that's the change in the industry as well, because the proliferation of YouTube and Facebook and everything coming online, there is really no commercial availability or viability in making a recording happen. It's a lot of money to hire the concert hall. It's a lot of money to record these concerts and use the best equipment we possibly can so that you can hear it really well in 5 or 10 years' time. But it doesn't cost much just to put the cell phone up and record it. So that's where it sort of happens a little bit. It's not overly viable. It's probably good for the archives, though, to have these things. Right. And that's why organisations like the BBC recording of that are really important still, because they go in there and record it well. Correct. So it's there forever.
Not to mention the fact that the cell phone audio is crap and the video is vertical.
Right. Because nobody can figure
Nobody can turn their fucking phone.
That's a good point.
True.
Is your TV on its side, jackass? No.
Is your computer screen, for that matter? That's really where they're watching this, right? I suppose people watch on their phones. I don't know. But
that actually brings up a good point, though. Like the microphones on phones, like it's one thing, I suppose, to record all that shit, on your cell or Facebook Live it yourself or whatever, but you're not really getting it. Like the quality's not there.
Well, that's true. I mean, at the concert hall, the track numbers are up to about 70 to 85 tracks. We're pushing on about 50 microphones on stage, and the insurance bill on those microphones is up to £100,000.
Oh my god!
Which is crazy. And then we've got a $600 or $700 cell phone with a little microphone, getting it out there quicker than anything. But there is a big difference. It's just what it is at the moment. We have to adapt.
Right.
I would say the issue you run into is that it's more people, like the people who are watching an entire concert or an entire event through their cell phone as they live stream or record it, like they're not as concerned with actually enjoying the performance as they are trying to like leverage the performance into some kind of social accolade for themselves.
Absolutely correct. Yes.
And it's
Which
like,
we do all the time, but that's okay.
Well, not really. I mean, even
Not from
like even when we record, like we've recorded stuff from like at like Winter Storm and stuff, and we literally just like set the camera, hit record, and then just like sat in the back and drank beers and watched the show.
That's because drinking beer is way more rewarding than the.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's like one of those things where I think it's a weird societal thing. I've been to, and this is, you know, it doesn't quite fully translate, but I've been to 2 weddings recently that had a strict like no cell phone rule during the ceremony.
That's a great idea.
Where it was like, we have hired photographers, we have hired videographers. One of them, I was the best man. It's like, if you pull your phone out, Josh will tase you. Like, it's not even a joke. Like, he will literally tase you.
Dude, I see people record funerals like
That
on
is
phone.
insanity
It's
to
so
me.
common
Yeah.
now that it's like blows my mind. Like, you're gonna watch this again?
Yeah.
Like just enjoy, just
Like,
go
does
through the experience and be done
Does
with it.
the dopamine hit of you live streaming G-Paw's funeral, like, is it really worth it?
I don't understand it.
Like, just sit down and be one with your emotions for a bit.
I know we say this a lot. Like we try to talk about pipers that aren't very good and tell them like there's always somebody watching and recording you. And even at funerals,
There's
always
always somebody
recording
fucking
you.
watching
It's
and recording.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
But so I want to. I'm going to spend a lot of this time when we talk to Mr. Blair, sucking him off because I'm a huge fan. But
Fusco, you don't have nearly the stamina or attention to the needs of others to properly
not at
suck
all.
him off.
No,
That's
it's all
just not
about
gonna
me.
happen. Yeah,
I'm a very
you're too
selfish
selfish.
lover.
Yeah, you're too selfish.
But one of the I keep calling it CDs, but like that's how old I am, I guess, because I still think in CDs. But one of the productions he did was
it's still an album, no matter what format, right?
True,
like,
yeah. But the shots recording of, I don't remember if it was called The Boom, but the one they did with the French Brigade Band and all that. You did that?
Yeah, man, that was the one. That was the one you used to have
Le
us.
Boom Lacoste, yeah.
Yeah, like I didn't realize you were the guy behind that, or at least the production guy behind
God,
that.
that was
like,
years ago too.
so
where
long.
you-
That was what, 15 years? Maybe?
easily
Something
15,
like that?
15 years ago that you showed it to us, and you're like, guys, we got to do this.
This is so good. Well, Rab Matheson, who's a very good personal friend of mine, but just kidding. But he
By
wrote
very good personal friend, you mean the one time you tried to get an audio clip from him on the Dojo cruise, he told you to fuck off?
Well, no, I tried twice, but I've got audio clips. He's a great guy. But anyway, he wrote La Boom, but you guys together put together that concert. Well, I assume you had something to do with it, but they brought in a French Brigade band, and like that was one of my very early influences in piping. Granted, I'm not a giant fan of Brigade, but either way, like that was a great production. Like I love that CD.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it was a interesting experience because the language barrier in sound check and rehearsal was unbelievable. There was virtually little communication, only through the music. And they put the show together. The Bagad Briac was the band. I think it was a Briac or Bagad. Yeah, Briac, yeah. And, they had some tracks, well accomplished tracks just going on. And then one of the tracks that also highlighted to me that night was Jim Kilpatrick's drum corps. I mean, he stood at the front of the stage and just let it rip. So, yeah, it was a very entertaining show, really good. But as I said, the language barrier was quite challenging.
That sounds like my nightmare, to try to set up a studio recording with people who do not speak my
Half
language.
the band is French. Don't speak English.
Like this, like when I used to think I could speak Spanish pretty well until I started working for a healthcare company, and then like I'd get calls or like asking me like, where do I find a good gynecologist who can deal with my pap smear in Spanish? And I'm like, I don't know any of these words. Like, I heard where. Like, could you imagine doing that like as a studio recording and everyone's speaking French and it's like, how do you say DI box in French? Like, I don't know.
Well, I don't think they needed to know DI box in particular, but man, those friggin' Brigade things are loud, right? I mean, I suppose pipes are loud, but man, it's essentially like they play a chanter with their mouth. It's kind of like what it is essentially. I mean,
They're incredibly loud, and one of the nice things about the Baghead Band is they really get into the music, where we see on stage, the pipe band standing very much at attention or whatever, or maybe
like an oil
a tap
painting.
of the foot. The Baghead guys are swinging and swaying and really getting the groove.
Yeah, they get into it, which is cool. Like, because pipers, I don't know if that's a Scottish influence where they're just stone faced and nobody moves. And
Next time we play a contest where we have
dance
to
and
play
shit.
for sheets, which don't get me wrong, we're gonna easily play another piping contest in 2022. Like once we play that, we're gonna go full Wicked Tinkers. I'm gonna Aaron Shaw like over the fence, like climb around on the bleacher.
there you go.
Like,
Just why not, right? I don't know, but how do you record a bagad when it's so like your microphones must be like 40 feet away, right? I mean, how do you do something like that?
Well, generally the concerts, you put the microphones quite close. Not too close, but the Bagheads, if there's enough microphones on stage, something will pick it up. You go on that,
Right,
on that sort of on method. But the Bagheads, they cut through everything. The frequency, they cut through everything. They're at a higher general height anyway, so the chanter mics are good and the drone mics pick up the ambience of the room. So you just got to make sure that the channels aren't clipped. The gain is not too high, and you only get one chance at a concert, so you kind of hope for the best too.
Sure, yeah. Would you? Okay, let's bring this back to like again, our audience is mostly shitty pipers in God nowhere.
audience
US.
and hosts, really,
yeah, for that matter, yeah. But like, if somebody wants to record themselves, any like quick tips you would like to give to somebody, like to the average grade 4 guy that's going to post their nonsense on YouTube?
Practice. Sorry, I didn't want to step on you there, Murray. It's all you. You got it, brother.
No. Look, we all started the pipe to somewhere. So, and it's generally in our local band or whatever level they might be. So we all started somewhere. I think experiment. If you're using your cell phone, don't get the cell phone too close to the chanter, and put it up sort of around about chest height, so you can pick up the drones, and the chanter will always cut through. It would really cut through anyway. So
Right.
You want to pick up some of the room noise and room sound, and make sure that it's not just all chanter and you're not too close to it. That's the real basics of it. If you've got a little bit of money, then 2 microphones would be good. They don't have to be overly expensive microphones, as long as you place them in the right spot. And your pipes sound good. That's a big thing as well.
Oh well, we can't help them with that. These are YouTubers after all.
Yeah.
So let me take this back, because how the hell did we get Murray Blair on the show today?
I have no idea.
Well, let's tell that story, shall we?
Oh, okay.
And Murray won't remember this probably because he's got more important things to think about. But I was in Kansas City, of course, with Piper's Dojo at
Winter Storm.
Dojo University. No, pipersdojo.com.
No, false. Chanarant.com/suckless.
I always get it wrong.
You have one job.
Listen, if you want to suck less at the pipes, go to chanarant.com/suckless.
There you go.
Anyway, so I was at Winter Storm with them, and I was with Andrew, and we were going over to the church to start to look at how we were going to
Winter Steam?
set up for the Winter Steam, and we needed to get the camera set up and stuff. And anyway, so we're riding in the car with Cliff, who runs the Hall of Winter Storm, and then this other gentleman who I had no idea who it was. And we're driving over, and then we talked to the church guy, and Andrew or somebody's introducing everybody, and they introduce Mr. Blair to the church guy. He's like, "Oh, this is Murray Blair," and I'm like, I kind of do a double take, and I'm like, "Did I just hear that right?" And so we leave the church and we're walking down to somewhere else. And I turn to Murray and I say, "Are you the Murray Blair?" Do you remember this, Murray?
I do. It was cold outside.
It was cold as shit. And we're walking outside and I was like, "Are you the Murray Blair?" Because I know who he is very well. But I've never seen him before because he's a goddamn recluse and you can't find a picture of him anywhere.
He's like the Yoda, dude. Like you gotta.
He's on Planet Dagobah down in Australia. Like nobody can find the guy.
It's great. It's wonderful.
But I'm like, holy shit. And I said to him, "It's an honor to meet you. Like, I'm a giant fan." Like, he wrote a bunch of tunes and, of course, significantly involved in Victoria Police, which was highly influential in my piping career back in
Especially
the day.
the albums.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So, and then we got talking in the green room, I guess you could call it, but like the special room where all the instructors and the high level guys, and Stephen McWhorter was there. He ignored the shit out of me, but
What the fuck, Steven? We already said we're sorry.
we're sorry, man. It was a joke. Anyway,
God, what a cunt.
fuck's sake, man. Oh, there we go again. God damn it, bleep that out. Anyway, so Murray and I got talking, and Mr. Blair says to me, he's like, "Oh, you guys, you're that Las Vegas guy, like that does those videos." And then he's like, "Man, I didn't want to give Josh props."
You talking about the Las Vegas pipe band videos?
The pipe band,
okay.
not Channel. He didn't really know of us.
We don't have a lot of videos for Channel.
No, but he had seen them, and he was like, "Wow, this is." Do you want to? Would you repeat what you told me more or less your general feelings about those?
Oh, you're testing me there, but I like them. I mean, they're well put together, well thought out, and well produced. I was impressed. They were entertaining.
That's what we aimed for.
Yeah. And he was asking me a lot of questions. I'm like, well, it's a lot of Josh. I'm just kind of I'm the muse. I'm the guy that's in the front, like that's doing the shit in the beginning. But
you're the one that'll be like, okay, we're gonna do this. And you're like, that's the stupidest idea ever. I was like, yeah, but do it.
And I'm generally up for anything, obviously anything.
Well, I also get you hammered before we shoot 90% of those.
True, that's very true.
That helps. It makes you much more malleable. That's an old Hollywood secret, kids. If your actor doesn't want to do a thing because they think it's too stupid, just get him drunk.
Get him drunk, yeah. If you ever watch any of the Las Vegas pipe band videos, 94% of the time, I'm pretty hammered.
You're pretty drunk.
Yeah. Like you can't tell for the most part, but both of us.
I had to butter you up for a lot of those.
Like that time you put oatmeal in my mouth and I had to throw up. Throw up oatmeal.
That was a good one.
Fairly drunk during that. All the driving scenes, I was very drunk. Just kidding. False. False. Come on. We would never do that.
I will say I show. Oh God, what was the one? I showed two of them to my girlfriend recently that she had never seen before. It was the T-shirt one where you had the dollar bills taped to your entire body as a shirt, and then I showed her the whiskey tasting one. We were just spitting
That's a great
in
one,
each
yeah.
other's face. Yeah, those were fun ones.
Those were great. The whiskey tasting was a fun one to do. Yeah. Murray, are you a drinker? I don't actually know this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like.
Are you also
enjoy
pounding
myself.
a Four Loko right now?
Are you pounding Four Lokos like we are?
What was that? Sorry.
Are you pounding Four Lokos like we are? It's a energy drink. It's really terrible.
It's a blue ras. It's 14% alcohol.
Not really. I mean, it's a Monday morning, and we just sort of finished breakfast, and
but time doesn't matter these days.
The enjoyment of it all, but no, it's thinking about something later on in the day. You've got me thinking now.
There you go. But so we were drinking. What's that stuff called? Old Smuggler. Have you ever had Old Smuggler Scotch? It's called Old Smuggler. I'm not joking.
Ooh,
I don't think you can get it anywhere.
Bottle, yeah.
I believe it's made in Argentina, from what I hear.
That's so
or it's bottled in Argentina. It obviously has to be made in Scotland.
It's made in a
be able to
Cape
call
Horn toilet.
Well, yeah. But somewhere in Scotland, in order to be called Scotch, it has to be.
Yeah, and the Argentinians really care about that rule.
But they love it. There's an Argentinian commercial. It's all in Spanish of Old Smuggler, and it's like it's supposed to be like the classiest stuff ever, right? And it comes,
turpentine.
It's turpentine. It's in a plastic bottle. It is
so
the worst shit you've ever had. So we did this whole video where we whiskey tasted this Old Smuggler.
Yeah.
I highly recommend everybody should at least try it. I actually saw it in a grocery store recently here in Vegas. I was shocked as shit that it was there.
I can tell the energy aspect is hitting you because you're talking faster.
Oh, am I talking fast? I'm sorry.
It's coming in.
I'll slow down. Sorry. You got any of those chewables or whatever the fuck you guys call them?
Nope. Okay, so real quick, I think that we should get into some. We have some interview questions
We do.
for
We haven't even hit those yet?
Mr. Murray Blair. No, I mean we may have like gotten some little bits of here and there, but
For sure.
I think we should. We got the man on. It's first thing in the morning.
Yeah, for him.
So why
That's
don't you
right.
start?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm curious. So, let's assume you weren't a piper and an audio engineer for piping related stuff. What would be your choice of careers if you weren't doing that?
Oh, good question. This may not relate to the North American audience. I'd probably want to be a cricketer. Do you know what a cricketer is?
Mm-hmm.
I know what a cricket bat is because I've been hit with several.
I mean, playing cricket, I assume, but
Yeah. It's growing up as one of the things you do as a school kid or whatever. So yeah, I'd love to be a cricketer.
Really?
But then I look how they turn out. So I'm thinking, nah, probably
are they all like
that's
drug addicts?
that's a dream.
How do they turn out? We're not familiar.
I think they finished their career by the time 34 years old.
Just because they're beat to shit.
Yeah. So no. I don't know. Maybe whiskey reviewer.
There you go. That's
There
a
you
great
go.
idea. What a great gig that would be, huh?
Something like that. But no, I'm pretty happy with the way it's gone. I mean, being a piper and audio engineer, it doesn't really feel like it's been very fortunate. There's no doubt about that. But I really don't feel like I've actually got a job yet. It's been good.
If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, right?
Right.
That's how I feel.
It's
been lucky.
Do you still write tunes?
Yes. Yeah. Still write tunes.
Why
It's
have we
on
not
and
heard
off.
them?
It's not as frequent as it used to be when I was in the pipe band, but I still write tunes. Absolutely.
So, is this considered your sophomore slump? Like 20 years later, like where are the
The next Murray Blair book.
Yeah, where's the next Murray Blair book? Like of where you have like so many hits.
I think my motivation's a little different now. I mean, motivation during the pipe band time was for the pipe band and everything to do with the pipe band. But I think I'm more motivated for myself. It says, "Oh, I write this tune for my own
you're
enjoyment."
selfish cunt,
and maybe just got a little bit complacent about sharing them or whatever.
Oh well, maybe. So your skin isn't as thick anymore. Like you're just like I can't take the critique because pipers are notoriously horrible to each other, right? I mean, as far as critical.
Oh, it's notorious. I think it's in lesson 4 of learning the pipes.
Be shitty to every other piper.
You know.
Yeah, it's in the green book. It says it. I swear.
See, I'm glad to know that I made it past lesson 4 because I just thought I was shitty to everyone because I hated everybody.
No, you're the worst, man. You learned that lesson well. that reminds me. Of,
I just want the strong to survive. That's all.
that reminds me of a story, Murray. Like when I was. Okay, so we haven't really talked about Master Blasters, and we will because that was
Because it's a phenomenal record.
It's phenomenal,
so good.
But like when I was first learning, I started learning in the year 2000, and like I say, I moved to Vegas like within a year, and then I started learning here. But we had a teacher that would come out, and I won't say his name, and like we would all talk about how cool Master Blasters was. Everybody wanted to play everything off of that, right? Because that was just so good at the time.
Fucking nerds.
Yeah, oh yeah, big time. And like I remember we had this one instructor who would come in who was like a pro level P-Brock type player, like typical.
I'm interested.
I'll tell you after the fact that, and he just slagged the shit out of the Master Blasters album, and looking back on it now, it was just pure. I realized it was jealousy.
Yeah,
but like at the time, I'm like, oh well, maybe this because I just assumed this guy knows everything about everything because if he knew piping, then he must know more than me. So, this album must suck, I guess. I don't know. And he used to say things like, they don't play any embellishments. There's only like 6 guys in the studio. They recorded it really quick, really simply. Blah. I remember this stuff specifically because I'm like, this is the greatest album I've ever heard. Like up to that point, So
that's be like someone like going to like Led Zeppelin forum, like they only had 3 mics on the drums. Fuck them. Like
John Bonham doesn't know what he's doing. So, do you have any? Did you used to get like shit back then? I mean, what were the high level guys? Were they just shitting on you constantly, like for what you guys were doing at the time?
There was a bit. There's no doubt there was a bit. But if you really take a close listen to all the bands in that era, they were all pretty much doing the same. Mm-hmm. In terms of the music and embellishments or whatever. I mean, I think it's different now. The top bands are incredible. But back then, we copped a fair bit of flack for a few things. But in terms of the music, there was probably a lot more work in the music than what people understood as well, in terms of embellishment and technique. In the early era of the Vic Police, probably the early 90s, there was certainly, there were fans and there weren't fans. But as the band went on, the acceptance got there a little bit more, the excitement got there a little bit more, and it's just another form of pipe music by a pipe band from a different part of the world showing their style. So I don't really know what the real traditionalists worry about or anything. It's just another form of the music.
Yeah.
What was it also, like? It's at the end of the day, like no matter what you get at the time of release, like what has stood the test of time, right? Like everyone can shit on you when the thing comes out, but if it's still hailed however many years later, then who was right in the eyes of history?
Well, there's always the quick reaction versus the long-term reaction, of course, and like Vic Police came out of nowhere to a certain extent to win that in '98, and then Master Blasters happened, and then like they were like the greatest thing ever. And I'm sure Scotland fucking hated that. I don't know. But
And that was what, 98?
well, when they won was 98. When did the album come out? Like 2000 roughly?
No, it was all 98.
Oh, was it 98?
So 97, 98, but it was all 98, and then the band didn't come back in 99.
So
there you
Did
go.
it fall apart? What happened?
So
That it was that,
22 years later, still talking about it, and who the fuck else is around doing that kind of shit?
still
you
one
know?
of the
Like,
ones that everybody recommends. Like, all right, if you're in piping, you got to go listen to this. Yeah. But what happened like in 99 was that Nat Russell guy, he's just like, fuck this. I hate you guys. What happened?
No, it was fairly in depth. I mean, a large number of the band were full-time, including myself, full-time piper in the police force, and the police direction changed where the focus was probably more on, well, a greater focus on budget cuts. The band wasn't funded to go to Scotland to compete. I mean, the band raised its own money like any other normal civilian pipe band, but realistically, watching a police band go overseas when, you know, there are other things in the local area we are in, it really didn't justify promoting the fact that, a band is off to Scotland rather than a band is going down the road for the local street march. So it was the end of the time. It was the time that the police force said no more travelling, no more competitions, not even local competitions in our area. You're a non-competing pipe band now. And the Vic Police Band still exists now. They still do gigs and think, well, not right now, obviously, because of the restrictions, but they've been going on ever since, doing charities and or local events, like that sort of thing. So that's what happened. 1999, no, didn't come back. We knew the writing was on the wall anyway in the start of 98. This would be the final year. It was, so we never went back, and it was kind of part of the story of the band.
That's pretty cool.
and this shows my ignorance, but so the Victoria Police Pipe Band, it's not like a service band. Like, you guys aren't all
No,
cops.
they are. No, well, there's civilians in there, but it is a police-funded and sponsored, whatever you want to call it, organization.
Interesting. So, but not all the pipers are cops.
No. Some of them.
No,
For the
well,
most part, no.
at the time of the pipe band in the 90s, there was probably 95% all sworn police officers for playing drums and pipes. That was your special operation. That was your special skill to do in the police force. So you play all the events.
One, were you a cop when you were in the band? And two, what was the most naked person you ever arrested?
Well, I was a police officer in the band, yes. I was a constable, and we just played pipes. That was our job. That was
you didn't have to arrest a naked person?
Damn, you missed out.
No.
Missed out.
I mean, I just saw a naked person get arrested running down my street yesterday. And trust me, when you get slammed into asphalt, you do not want to be naked.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine.
Right.
Yeah,
And you made it back for the show.
Yeah. And my face is still fine. I tilted my head up.
Man, Vic Police, man, like good, like they were actual for the most part, 95, like you said, 95% police officers, and they were actually good, unlike Glasgow Police
or PSNI.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry.
Hey, this is why I can't open my own mail.
So let's see. We have a couple questions here. Let's see. Let's get to one of the
audience questions.
Yeah. Let's see. So our good friend Honey Bourbon, who is from Melbourne as well, he plays with Hawthorne Police. He wanted to know this: what's it like being such a big dick legend?
Who's the question to?
You. I mean, he already knows what makes us legends.
I really don't know.
He also wants to know if he also wants to know if you can give him any advice on being a legend.
I'm not qualified to answer.
He does want to know if you can give him any advice on becoming a legend. He's currently working hard to become a legend in the piping scene.
Phenomenal player too.
Probably get in touch with a legend for a mentor, I guess. I'm lost.
He also just added this to the end. He's like, can you give him any advice on how he can get a bigger dick?
Oh, totally. Is he on the wrong show?
Oh, he's on very much the right show.
He's on the right show.
We don't know the answer. That's why we keep asking everybody that's our guest. But no. Honey Bourbon, legend in Hawthorne Pipe Band. We love you.
Yeah,
He's going to be a future...
the Aussie Ginge.
Did you see his post recently? He's going to be either win or fail of the week once I listen to it.
Oh, is he posting some tunes?
He posted like for the COVID-19 that people are all sharing themselves playing. So yeah. You know what this would be a great opportunity to do is play a little bit of Murray playing, because Murray, you mentioned earlier, well, off the show, that you had to stop playing the actual pipes for a reason, right?
Well, I stopped playing in a pipe band and obviously competing. I competed solos for a number of years after the police. But yeah, I stopped. I had a condition called focal dystonia, which I still got, and it's affected quite a number of pipers around the world. But yeah, I still play. I don't compete. I don't play in a pipe band, but I can still play at home.
Was this the driving force behind the Blair Chanter? Is this why this
knock out a few tunes?
Was the Blair Chanter such a big thing because of that? Like, how does that relate?
Well, not really. I mean, focal dystonia affects the fingers. So, the actual pipes or whatever, I still get the pipes out or whatever. But obviously the digital chanter, one of the motivations behind that was a good friend, Roddy McDonald, was doing a lot of piping, a lot of recording. And I've spent so many years in recording studios seeing money wasted for pipers tuning up and just going down the drain rather than actually playing the music. So the motivation was to create a chanter, like could go into a studio quality that you could play really quickly and just focus more on the music and get the music down rather than focusing on tuning up for 3 hours, then hitting the record button for 3.5 minutes.
Right? Yeah.
Here's what I've taken from this in the subtext is that he didn't trust other audio engineers to be able to record an actual bagpipe.
So just make it electronic.
He's removing the audio engineer from the situation. I was like, yeah, these idiots nowadays, they just need an XLR output and they'll take it.
No, well, actually, I was thinking of the colleagues who kind of sit there in the downtime, in the studio, wondering, have they tuned up yet? Are they in tune yet? Are they in tune?
You got about 3 minutes to get this right.
That was the time I learned that I have to wear ear protection. Was I was recording. I went to play pipes on a CD. It was like this world music CD.
I remember this. Yeah.
And I went and played pipes, and as I'm tuning up and getting everything set, the audio engineer clicks the mic. He's like, "Hey, buddy." I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm 15 at the time." He's like, "Do you wear ear protection while you're playing those?" I was like, "No." And he's like, "You need to."
They're insanely loud.
Yeah, he's like, it's like you're clocking 130. You need to fucking wear ear pro. And I was like, all right, thanks, man.
Yeah.
But
look after your ears. It's important.
Oh, big time, man. So I thought let's take a few minutes. Let's listen to a track because everybody asks Mr. Blair if he still plays, right? Because you don't get to, well, one, he's a recluse and you never see him anywhere.
He's
but
Yoda.
Also
he's Yoda.
You don't see him anywhere, and he does want to say to the world, "I still play. Check this shit out, motherfuckers." He literally said that to me in his email.
Perform. Yeah,
So
that's superb.
We're gonna bev up while this track plays, and we'll be back in about 4 minutes.
crank out Star Wars.
Holy hell, people.
Dude, ripping it.
I have a question. What is it like to be able to play approximately 4 minutes and 15 seconds of jigs without making a mistake? I've never had that experience.
There's a few mistakes in there.
Is there?
There are a few mistakes in there, yeah.
See, as a very persistent intermediate player, like even your mistakes, I'm like, all right, his artistic choice during the process was like, all right, I just kind of go with it.
It's not a mistake, right?
Yeah, I just go with it because it's like, all right, he's holding this note. Okay, he's making a choice. He's going to do something different. And,
That's called making mistakes like a professional.
Absolutely. So important, man. One of the greatest, my personal favorite solo ever put on tape of all time is from Master Blaster's Danny Boyle's solo that's on that goddamn album. It is, in my opinion, the greatest solo ever put on tape. Who is Danny Boyle?
Is that because everyone else? Is that because everyone else no longer puts their solos on tape and they just record them digitally like a normal person?
Actually, that's a good question. Did you record this to tape back then? This is in the 90s, so this was still tape time.
It would have been tape.
Well, actually, no, it wasn't. Was digital. It was digital. But it was a funny scenario because it was a digital machine, digital multitrack taken into an analog studio. So, these big tape machines are just there, sitting there, and we had a digital multitrack there. Wow. And that's what it was recorded onto. So Danny was a guest piper in the Vic Police. He was in the band for a number of years. A very good piper, probably one of the younger members at the time. And yeah, he came in and he ripped a couple of solos out.
That fucking solo is so goddamn good. And I saw YouTubes of him doing it live and he changed it slightly. But who is he and where is he now? Like, I've never heard of him since.
So Danny grew up and he learned his piping in Victoria, in Melbourne. And he, after Vic Police, I think he played in a couple of other bands, local bands in Nuttawatting. Went to this, I think they call them Australian Highlanders. That's what they call them. I was in Scotland at the time when he had those, so I'm not too familiar. And then I don't think it didn't end well, the Australian Highlanders, and I haven't seen Danny since. I don't know if he's piping now at all, but yeah, amazing piper. He's good talent. It'd
be such a shame.
I don't know if he's piping now.
Yeah, such a shame if he wasn't. That's for sure. But
yeah, it is. It is.
So I guess when we come back from hearing you play, I want to give you the opportunity to take credit for all the success of the Vic Police in the 90s. Like, I mean, it's time. It's time that you just say, like, yeah, it was me.
It was all me.
No, it wasn't. It was a lot of people. The people involved in that band that you'd never hear of, the guys who tuned the drones and the guys who did other things or whatever to make it all happen. It was a lot of people.
One of our audience members wanted to know, especially I guess back in the 90s in particular, but in the time frame when you won the Worlds and the Master Blasters came out and everything. But what did it feel like to be in Mark Saul's shadow all those years?
It was kind of funny because I think Mark left the band in the early 90s. And the band got good after that.
Oh, that sucks. Man, he's got so much credit for what happened to the Vic Police, though, doesn't he?
Oh, totally. Instrumental in some of the identity of the band. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. What are some of your... Actually, if you could narrow it down to one, if you could give our audience a recommendation, because ultimately that like 1998-ish medley that you guys did with opening with Jimmy's Gift, which is what we opened with today, poorly, but hey, we did it. And
who's we? I mean, you played.
and ending with maybe arguably one of the greatest ending tunes of all time. I'm going to say this wrong because I always get it wrong, but Edwin's Digi Place. How do you say that?
Edwin
Digi Place. Arguably one of the greatest closers of all time. Like, pick a medley other than your own that would be like something as a recommendation. Like this is amazing. This is really interesting to me.
Oh yeah, I think Simon Fraser, 1987. They marched in, I think, with Murdoch McAllister or the Cuckoo, and then played Money Musk or Moral Castle, then into Three Reels. It was fantastic, and I think they ended another Neil Dickey tune right at the end of the medley. I mean, to me, that was inspirational. 78th Fraser Highlanders, 1987 as well, Up to the Line medley, and the year after as well, Copperhill studio medley. Some of those things just really stand out, really influential in the time I was listening to Pipes as a young lad.
Right.
That's really too much information, isn't it, to name those things?
There's no such thing on this show.
No,
we don't do really TMI here.
Oh, don't even get us into your. Oh, I won't go there. It's classless. We're gonna be classy on this.
We're trying to be. It's the classy episode.
So you've developed
as we drink.
We're drinking
Four Loko.
Blue. Yeah, this shit is like something you see out of a goddamn Star Wars movie, right? Like if you pour it into a glass, it's like, why am I drinking this nonsense?
Never seen anyone hammered in Star Wars.
No, they're always sober. How is that? How is Han Solo sober?
They're not drinking enough blue.
I guess not. But you've developed numerous products, apps, whatever, all kinds of different stuff. One of the first things that I remember in particular, at least in my career, was the HBT tuner, right? That was yeah. And then you put it onto an app once smartphones become a significant thing. Do you feel are phones? What do you think is better, having a separate tuning thing versus a phone? Like, are the mics on a phone good enough? I've heard rumors that because the mics on a phone are so good that's really a great way to do it. But I don't really know the answer to that.
I don't think so. I don't think the microphone is any better on a phone. I mean, if you really have a listen to the tone of what the microphone is picking up, it's mostly for drones, right? So if you have a listen to the tone of what the microphone's picking up, it doesn't sound that great. So it doesn't really matter what sort of microphone you're picking up using to do that detection. So I guess whatever's most convenient to, I mean, one of the greatest pitch lines people use is, we've developed something in the tuner that's more accurate and better than anything else. Well, there's no actual proof of what they've developed or anything like it. It's just a saying. So a microphone is a little bit the same. They say, well, this microphone will pick up better. They say, why? Well, I can't tell you. Most microphones that they use in tuners and phones tend to be omnidirectional as well, right, which they'll pick up everything in the room instead of the direct sound. So right, I think you can get the best results out of a $5 microphone than a $400 microphone. The only difference will be you're out of pocket a bit more.
Is that just because it's more? Because it's cheaper. It's only going so far, so it's more specific to what you're actually trying to pick up.
It picks up the frequencies that needed to be picked up correctly. And I think there are bigger companies in the world, like Korg, for example, have made millions of tuners that that have proven that, a small microphone, a microphone only detects the frequency. It's what you do with the frequency and how you process and analyze and reinterpret that afterwards as well. I mean, we can go down to 0.1 of a frequency. We can go to 9 decimal points or even infinite decimal points on a digital tuner of a frequency. It's how well you can hold those numbers as well. That's very variable in the whole equation there.
Right, sure. Yeah, okay.
I think, the bottom line with tuners myself is if your pipes sound good and they sound in tune, whatever you use, stick with it.
Right. Yeah, like it's just a tool in the end. Whatever works for you, right? In the end, I suppose.
Yeah, it's more about the person on the bagpipe rather than the tool in the hand.
Right. So you also developed, of course, the one that's, the Blair digital chanter, which we're now on. Is it the second generation? Are we on 2G at this point?
No, it's just the original.
Oh,
it's still the original. Yeah.
So that thing's pretty fascinating because I've played with it, but it's like.
Oh, Bill played on.
Bill has it.
Yeah, Bill played on the show, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah, it's not a contact. It's not a metal contact one.
It's not like a little weird plastic stick with metal leads.
Yeah, it doesn't read your electricity connection. I don't know how the fuck it works, but it's pretty fascinating. But it's super cool. Where did the inspiration for that come from? Why?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, that came from a good friend of mine, composer Roddy McDonald. He was living in Japan, needed something to play in the house, needed something that sounded like a real bagpipe, felt like a real bagpipe to write tunes on. That was a composition tool and a powerful composition tool. I mean, it's with MIDI inside it and the reverb and the amount of functions inside. It's got to be a professional instrument. I mean, that's a sort of platform we want to aim at, to be on par with like a keyboard or a professional guitar, to be able to do more than it with it if you had to, than just play the tunes. So the concept came from Roddy, obviously wanting to record, wanting to share files quickly, wanting to be able to teach as well, and have something that sounded real. Now it's real sounds in it. It's real sound samples all tuned. So that's the basis of it. The holes were a big factor, having something that you can adjust each hole to suit your fingers. That was a very big thing because, we've all got different fingers. We all move our fingers differently. So to be able to tune the instrument how you play, it was a big consideration. And to be able to feel like a real bagpipe with actual holes, not the other variety. I think the other varieties have their place as well. And I played one for many years, but there was limitations, and this is why this is a different offering on the market.
Well, wait. Okay. I'm pretty locoed.
That means loaded.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Can I be mean and nice at the same time?
Absolutely. This is what we do here.
Because so Bill brought his Blair chanter, and we played it on episode 10, 30. I don't know. Time has no meaning now.
Time has no meaning anymore.
But a long time ago, he brought his Blair chanter, and it sounded really good. Like the small pipes thing sounded good. It all sounded like real pipes. So how is it that you can have one device that's like this big that has good bagpipe sound, good chanter sound, good small pipe sound, and then the people I see that tour and play with electric bagpipes sound like dog ass every time?
In what way do they sound like dog ass?
I don't know, dude. It sounds horrible.
Maybe they're using a different device. I don't know.
I've never heard an electric bagpipe that I thought sounded good ever.
Well, to a certain extent, they all sound electronic, kind of, because when you change notes, it's got that issue.
I liked the Blair chanter, even though it didn't have the whole apparatus and all that
the red pipe
shit that makes it look like you're actually playing bagpipes. But dude, I was just editing a bunch of video with people who are playing real pipes and also playing electric pipes. I'm the electric pipes sound like crap.
They just sound cheesy. Yeah, it sounds like a Casio keyboard version.
It does sound like a Casio keyboard version of pipes.
Yeah, I can imagine who you're referring to because I can think about it, but I don't know. I guess it's the quality of the sampling, right, and how detailed the technology is for the software.
It has
I guess.
to, yeah. Well, it has to be the hardware. It has to be like the sensitivity of.
I would say it's all software.
Like the sensitivity of the touch.
I don't know. We have a professional on the line. Why don't we ask him?
Yeah,
He
like,
fucking
I mean,
knows.
like, cause like, I mean, we both
no
played.
fucking idea.
We both played Bills, and it sounded pretty good.
Well, the small pipes sound good. The regular pipes never sound great. It's always the small pipes.
It's never
that sound
quite
cool.
the same.
I don't know why that is, but do you have a thought on that, Murray?
Yeah, well, I think the main difference is one is synthesized and one is real samples. So one's software generated, and the other one is real audio samples being embedded into a chip, and that's what you're playing back. Also, the other side of it is a lot of models are mono, and the Blair Digital one's stereo. So you've got that capability of spreading the sound as well. In a professional setup like a PA or whatever, you can spread out your sound. So there are a couple of subtle differences. But if you liken it to electric guitar, if you just plug an electric guitar into an amp, it's going to sound fairly dry and fairly direct. And you're thinking, this doesn't sound like Metallica, does it? It's not until you start adding the effects and the treatments to the instrument that you can get it sounding, wow, this is what I really want. So that's what I would suggest to do with all these pipes, is actually take the sound and then develop it into a proper big sound that you want and be happy with it.
Right, okay.
Guitar pedals are an easy way to start, and they're fun to buy.
Oh, yeah. Messing with your sound is always fun. I don't know why, but it just is. It's like always hearing, like so in normal life, like other than pipes, I play drum set. But like playing 17 million different snare drums is like a snare drum. It's like drummer porn. It's like, all right, I want to hear this with a slightly different frequency or this or that or whatever it is. There's always these little differences like, oh, that inspires me to make music again, whatever that difference is, So anyway, do you have anything, John?
Oh yeah. So we had another viewer, JD Ingram, who canceled his Patreon.
That son of a bitch. That's right. He's probably broke right now.
He asks, this is to you, Murray. He says, You've woken up after a long night of drinking and are told that, to your surprise, you now have an ass tattoo of a pipe band logo, but it's not one you'd expect. What would you guess the blacked out you got inked?
What's the question again?
He's got no context for this at all.
So the question is,
you go out, you get loaded.
You went out, you got loaded, and you woke up with a logo of a pipe band tattooed on your ass that you didn't expect. What logo do you think it would be?
The Bergen County Firefighters pipe band out of New Jersey or New York. Do you know the band?
We do not. Do you tell us how you know them?
Oh, you got to look them up. When I was in Scotland, I was producing an online piping show that's still going now, and we came across the Bergen County Firefighters pipe band, and they put out a CD, and you've got to look it up. It's a fantastic CD, around about 2004, 2005, and probably one of the best album covers I think I've seen. I think it was called The Dirty Hose or something. Oh, it was great. It was class. That CD brought a lot of enjoyment to the studio.
I can imagine.
All right, so we have one more question from the audience, and Fusco?
Yeah, so, Murray, in regards to your digital chanter, that is like all the rage now because everybody wants one.
Yep.
It sounds fucking good.
Are they produced in China? Because like, are we slowing down on the production possibilities of this right now? Where are these made? Curious. This is not the question, but I'm just curious.
They're made. The chanter's made here with me in my house.
Nice. That is fantastic, man. All right, so that's even better. So
it's. I'm a small business. I make the chanters here.
Okay.
And they're made in Australia here. Me.
That's so amazing. So are you familiar with the Piper's, it's called the Bra Tuner. I believe it's made by Yuri Chisholm, I believe. It's a cell phone app.
Okay.
Anyway, it's neither here nor there, but one of the things about the Bra Tuner is it has 4 different tuning choices that for the chanter. So you can choose like the Seamus McNeil version of the chanter versus the I don't know. There's 4 different choices, whatever they are. Anyway,
the Andy Fusco version.
the Andy Fusco,
A is
which
too
is
flat.
Everything's terrible. So, so anyway, it relates to that. And this question relates to that. So this gentleman asked, so Murray, as far as downloadable instrument mods for the digital chanter go, could we get a service band pipes mod? Like untuned drones, very sharp high A, unsteady blowing, little realism into the chanter.
Right. Do you need a tuner for that? I have to approach a tuner like it's supposed to tune the pipes
which would
to
not
a standard that everyone's kind of happy with.
Which would not be a service band, unlike the Vic Police, because they are actually pretty good. Which reminds me, have you heard them do that? We played it on the show. It was Police Academy. They just recently.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
That was Vic Police, by the way. They did a recording of the Police Academy theme. Did you hear that?
No, I didn't. Was that recent? Was it?
Yeah, within the last year for sure. It was very good though. It's like remarkable tuning. They're very good, and they played the Police Academy theme. And it's like, hey, if you're gonna do something stupid, this is the way to do it.
Do it right. Yeah.
So good, man. So good. But anyway, man, it's absolutely amazing to have you on. I think
thanks.
We should play him out with what I would say is probably arguably one of the greatest things he's ever done, in my opinion. But which relates to Master Blaster's CD.
Okay. So we're going to end on music.
Mm-hmm.
So real quick, Murray, I wanted to thank you very much for coming on the show. Do you have any final thoughts you'd like to say to our horrible audience?
Yeah, they're a bunch of cunts, so don't worry about it. Say anything you want.
Well, thanks for listening. Thanks for taking the time to listen and suffering through my ranting and raving and just whatever. Don't take piping too seriously. Just enjoy yourself. It's music.
That's phenomenal.
That's way too positive. Can you be a little meaner? Just be a little meaner for me. Go ahead.
Just real quick, call out Honey Boo Boo.
Yeah, say Honey Bourbon's a cunt. Would you say that for me?
Well, I don't even know the person. So
Trust us, he's a cunt.
Okay. I take your word.
Nah, I'm just kidding.
Sko, what are your final thoughts for this week's episode?
My final thoughts are this. It's absolutely amazing to have such a legend as Mr. Blair on the episode.
Yeah, man.
It's so cool, man. You roll with the punches. Unlike Stephen McWhirter, you
made my
got the
day.
joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, as one of, in my opinion, probably one of the most influential tune writers and pipers of the generation of about 20 years ago. That sounds like a negative, like a neg. I'm not trying to neg you, I promise. But like, man, so influential to that group of people that learn pipes back then. Like, wow, this is what piping can be. Hold on. I do have one question. I'm sorry. My students in my classes would kill me if I didn't ask this. What does Jimmy's Gift mean? What is the idea behind the title? What does that mean?
Okay, well, I'm absolutely horrible with names. It's just the worst part of the whole process in my mindset. But Jimmy was my grandfather, moved to Australia, and unfortunately,
The criminal.
my cousins and I, we never, no, he wasn't a criminal. Not that we know of, anyway. But don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. So Jimmy, we never met him. And the only thing he ever had, he sort of left for the family, were his pipes. And the music with piping and all that. So it's a bit of a family thing.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a sentimental name.
Yeah, I teach for
until we find out that Jimmy might have been sent here. But until that day,
who knows what
we'll
the actual
go with
gift
it, all right?
was. The gift could have been VD, for all we know.
Yeah.
But no, I teach a class at the Piper's Dojo, and we did Jimmy's Gift recently.
You
and
can join that class if you go to chainrate.com/class.
Yeah, absolutely. And people were asking, what is the tune? I'm like, why is it named this? I'm like, actually, I have no idea. I've never.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm just curious. So anyway, but it's absolutely amazing to have you on. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, we appreciate it, man. It's always nice to make new friends.
Great. Thanks very much, guys.
All right. Well, cheers. Thank you very much for coming on, Murray. Sko, thanks for surviving the apocalypse so far. You're doing a pretty good job for a
still
guy
alive.
that seems to have a cavalier attitude.
I very much so. But yeah, I think we should play out to one of Murray's greatest things of all time.
Well, in that case, thank you everyone who tuned in for this show. So check us out at channelrant.com, become a patron at patreon.com/channelrant, and Sco, play us out.